Good evening, Commonwealth, and thanks for watching the Channel 2 News. I'm Chris Nelson. Straight ahead on this edition of the local news. CNMI's first tropical depression of the year floods streets and lowlands. Also tonight, MVA continues to promote tourism, but with not much money for how long. And with a workforce crisis just days away, the visitor industry prepares for a man-made disaster. In sports, the U16 NMI boys challenge the Philippines in Indonesia. Stay with us. These stories and more are next.
"48 hours. That's all we get in a week. But those 48 hours, we try to make them last forever. How? By filling in fast with all the right stuff. With a lot of laughter, a little drama, some adventure, and a whole lot of love."
Dad, Mom's here.
It happens pretty quick,
Bye, Dad.
but it's cool. Because the rest of the week, we talk about our plans
You want to go to the beach?
on how to make the next 48 hours last us a lifetime.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are the #1 killer of children 1 through 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Green sea turtles and hawksbill turtles call the Mariana Islands home. They're an important part of the marine ecosystem. They are under threat, and they are protected under CNMI law. Keep plastic out of the ocean. Keep vehicles off the beach. Use the Sea Turtle Stranding Hotline if you see poaching activities or if you see a turtle in trouble. Call 287-8537 and save a turtle. Havaday Tirawami and good evening, Commonwealth. Today is Monday, September the 16th, 2019. A tropical depression dumped 5.5 inches of rain on Saipan. Tropical Depression 17W formed right on top of us. Low-lying areas such as Susupi, Lower Dandan, and parts of Garapan were flooded, making it almost impossible for drivers to drive through. John Hirsch, director of the Red Cross NMI chapter, told KSPN2 News that they work closely with the CNMI Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management and the Office of the Governor in providing shelters in Dandan Middle School and Cagman High School. As of 12 midnight, however, it was reported no residents had sought shelter. The Marianas Visitors Authority continues to spend to market the CNMI abroad, but funding problems at home threaten the CNMI's economic driver. The MVA board met this morning to discuss finances. No money has been transferred to MVA during the month of September, and as of now, close to $6 million of the MVA's hotel tax allotment remains with the central government. Meanwhile, MVA payables, mostly due to offshore marketing contracts, continue to increase.
So we're not getting what we're supposed to be allotted. In the past 13 months, the MVA has received an average of about $520,000, but we need over $1 million a month in order for us to meet our obligations. So the board has already cut across the board, but it's obvious that we need to cut some more.
MVA spends the bulk of its budget in three places: Japan, Korea, and China, to the tune of roughly $6 million per year. That marketing budget is funded by the hotel tax. Tourists pay a 15% tax on each hotel room, and 80% of that tax is supposed to go to MVA for marketing, destination enhancement, payroll, and events.
One of the things that we are going to do is meet with the governor and the Secretary of Finance to let them know how serious the situation is, and the community needs to understand that tourism is the only economic driver, and if we do not get the funds that we need, we cannot go out and market in the overseas and in our markets overseas, and without any tourists, there will not be a government. So it really is quite critical.
Charter flights from China are still flying into Saipan, but the companies organizing them say the load factors are at historic lows. Chinese tourists come in a variety of ways to the CNMI via Korea, via Hong Kong, and directly from major cities like Shanghai and Beijing. There is no direct scheduled service from China, but there are a number of charter flights. Two companies pay for the cost of the plane, fuel, and crew, and then sell the seats themselves. Tom Liu is with Saipan Travel.
So right now there are 6 flights a week, 4 flights from Shanghai and 2 flights from Guangzhou.
And you said in the board meeting today that you really haven't seen the market this soft, maybe ever. You want to tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I think mainly because of the trade war tensions between U.S. and China, and that's causing some of the travelers not want to go to the U.S. And second reason is because of the devaluation of the RMB, the Chinese currencies versus U.S. dollars. So that's another reason. And thirdly, the economy in China right now are not in the best of situation. So those are the factors that are affecting the arrivals.
Hong Kong, how does that affect us? What we see the protests happening on the news, and we of course have Hong Kong Express that flies back and forth. But how does that tension that's happening in Hong Kong affect us?
I think the Chinese travelers wanted to avoid Hong Kong as a transit point, so that really caused some effect on Hong Kong Express, and maybe that's one of the reasons that Hong Kong Airlines also suspended their flights until further notice.
What are you guys doing for charter flights? You mentioned today you have fixed costs, like whether you bring up one person in or 150, you're still paying for the plane, you're still paying for the fuel, the crew.
Right.
So what do you do in a situation like this? Do you reduce flights? Are you aggressive on pricing? How do you handle it?
Well, our sales team are aggressively still marketing the CMNI as a destination in China. So we will do everything we can to fill up the seats at on our flights.
Businesses around the island are holding their breath while they wait to find out if there will be some relief for the CW1 workforce. As Sally Lemus reports, major hotels are contemplating their options.
Hotels around the island are preparing themselves for what could place them 2 steps behind their original game plan. The Kensington Hotel in San Roque are quite nervous while they await for the decision of the approval of their CW1 workers.
We have approximately 100 CW workers, then more than 2/3 will be in danger.
Choi says if the worst news comes where her CW workers will return home, the hotel will have to minimize their services, like closing down some restaurants and not being able to take in all the reservations. At Fiesta Resort and Spa, management also worries about a number of their staff being sent back home and explains what their plans are.
Right now, we have about 32 of our contract workers that are facing possible exits. The contingency plan right now is being put in place by the affected department heads. And so they're responsible for coming up with the contingency plans for their own departments. But of course, that could involve overtime for the staff that are staying behind. And so that would be an additional cost for the hotel. Yeah.
In another hotel, management also expresses how the possibility of losing 27 CW1 workers affects them.
As of now, fortunately, we could have ample time to do communication with USDOL and also as well as USGIS. But as the all employers concerned, the time is running and we are already in September. So we have their concerns and we are worried about the deadline, which is the end of the September. It of course considerably affects our operation. It's very hard for us to maintain the daily operations. Some are key person of the sections, so it's gonna be hard for us.
Less than half of their 27 employees are under their administration, while the rest are in operations. Management states they might have to reduce overall operations if their permits will not be renewed. KSPN was also able to get an interview with a CW1 worker who is very much worried about her son, who has a medical problem.
I might leave the island and go back to Philippines, but the problem is I have a son. If I go back to Philippines and he stay here and no one's gonna be with him, so it really affects me.
She shared with KSPN how going back to her home will affect her son's high school education.
Actually, we just want if they can just give us the extension to stay and work for our family.
This is Sally Limes for KSPN News.
All right, thanks for that report, Sally. Coming up, an 8th grade student makes a plea for improvements at Hopwood. That story and more just after the break.
Get the phone plan you're looking for at IT&E. Stay connected with the strongest, widest, and most reliable network in the Marianas. Stream, share, play, shop, and surf the web with super fast 4G LTE data. Whether you need just a few gigabytes of data to get by, or if you want to go further with unlimited data, there's a plan for you. You'll always get the best price. Visit any IT&E store or call us to learn more. IT&E. Explore your world.
Hafaday Sinamai, does it seem like our hot days are hotter and our rainfall and flooding heavier? This intensification is a result of a warming climate. Here in the Sinamai, our wet and dry seasons will continue to grow more extreme in the years to come. These changes can cause more frequent droughts. We may also experience more frequent flooding, which is our biggest threat to our marine ecosystems. During flooding, stormwater moves from the top to the bottom of our watershed, carrying loose soil, sediment, and other pollutants. This hurts our living creatures in our lagoons. But don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. There are plenty of things we can do now to prepare for these changes. Plant shrubs and trees to buffer runoff from your property into nearby waterways. Use seeding and mulch to secure loose soil. These natural landscapes sustain our livelihoods, and with your help, we can work together to reduce our risk to these changes.
Welcome back. You're watching the Monday night edition of the Channel 2 News. From Hopwood to Tarpwood, one student pens a letter that goes viral. Sally Limes brings us this next story.
I did this for all of us. I want all of us to go home.
A brave and concerned student shares with KSPN what it's like these days to go to school at Hopwood Middle School.
The campus right now, there's many ginormous puddles because in between the tents, it's varying from 1 foot to 3 feet deep. And they fill up with water, and it's very scary because hallways get so crowded with students trying to transition or students hanging out because they have nowhere else to go. So like the chances of falling in, and like teachers trying to maneuver us around us to get us class. They're having to put pallets down or cinder blocks for us to walk on over the water, and I'm just like, this is where they want students to be comfortable going to school in. I don't feel like this is somewhere a student should be.
genuinely hoping a plan of action could be done soon because she believes that no student should be learning in an environment like this.
I want to be going to school on like an actual campus with a cafeteria and in classrooms with walls, but we're in tents. Makes a lot of students feel like low about it because we're in tents. Everybody feels a little sad because like it's not a real class. It's not like real classrooms with walls. And it affects my learning because sometimes it's just the conditions of the tents, like how sometimes it's really cold and then it gets hot and then it's that switch between two. And then how like small the tents are because we're not supposed to walk right against the tents because the tents might collapse on us. So it's a little space to have like at most maybe 28 kids in one class. So that's kind of hard.
She believes that this should be a public concern.
Anybody who could do something about our situation at school, anybody could help, could push it for Hopwood to be fixed, for us to go back. Because to me, that campus is not home. Home is the campus, and a campus where I used to go to school, where I loved it there. I love Hopwood so much. I care about that school so much. That's why one of the reasons why I wrote the letter, because I care about Hopwood so much and I want something to be done.
Chong expresses her thoughts on having a new Hopwood.
Hopwood has been there for a very long time. I've talked to people who taught there before Hopwood was Hopwood Junior High School, Hopwood Middle School. I feel like it's like almost like a historic monument or place for Saipan. I feel like relocating that whole school would be a tragedy, would be a loss. That would just be a lot to take in, and I wouldn't want that happening.
She shares a message to her teachers and the staff of Hopwood.
I want to thank them for being so strong and having to deal with teaching students in tents, to having to deal with having to make the accommodations that normally teachers wouldn't have to make. To thank them for being so strong and holding it up, because I could see that teachers were being like mentally affected too by it. Some teachers were like, I could see it in their faces, the smiles weren't full, so they couldn't be reaching their eyes. I could see that, and I want to thank them for pushing through it and getting better, getting used to it. But I wish we didn't have to.
And also to her fellow Hilitais.
We are one family. We are all in this together. I am doing this for all, not just how I feel, but for all the students feel, because a lot of students have expressed that they have felt the same way. Even previous students who have promoted and gone on to high school, they have expressed that they felt. So I did this for all of us. I want all of us to go home.
Hopwood Middle School was severely damaged by Super Typhoon Yutu and is currently located in Koblerville. Emma Chong, a 13-year-old student, cares deeply about her school and also plans to run for Stuco president, where she could be more proactive with her concerns. This is Sally Limis for KSPN News.
Very thoughtful, well-spoken 8th grader. Thank you, Sally. At least one person on Guam thinks tax refunds should be faster and Guam to receive part of the military's $1 billion improvement plan, KUAM News reports.
Buenas, CNMI. Here's your Guam News update. Congressman Michael San Nicolas announced on Facebook that he's introduced a measure that would force the local government to expedite tax refunds. H.R. 4262 specifically requires GovGuam, he says, through the Organic Act, to process and pay a tax refund within 90 days of its individual filing, as opposed to the court order to pay within 6 months from the deadline. The House resolution would also mandate GovGuam to follow local law in making deposits to the Income Tax Refund Efficient Payment Trust. It compels, he says, the administration to follow the local law rather than be shielded by the executive authority over how they handle cash. The structure ensures local legislators are not let off the hook, but rather empowered to compel the level of tax refund funding they are ultimately responsible for. It was referred to the House Committee on Natural Resources. The Navy announced the award of nearly $1 billion in military construction contracts. A wide range of products are to be performed, as they include construction and renovation of barracks, administrative, communication, educational, dining, and industrial facilities. Contractors will build new roads, streets, bridges, and more. The 5 companies awarded contracts include Black Construction and Cortec. Hensel Pacific of Hawaii, California-based Gilbane, and Cattleman of Alabama are also included. The term is for no longer than 60 months to be completed by September 2024. In other news, the U.S. EPA is ordering Guam Shipyard to clean up its act and comply with the Clean Water Act for discharges of pollutants into Apra Harbor. EPA inspected the facility in September of 2018 and found multiple violations. EPA found that the Guam Shipyard has been discharging pollutants and processed wastewater without a Clean Water Act permit. Inspectors found blasting grit, paint particles, and debris were discharged directly into the harbor. As part of the compliance order, EPA is requiring the facility to obtain permit authorization, develop a stormwater pollution prevention plan, capture non-stormwater discharges to prevent their entry into Apra Harbor, and ensure spill response equipment on site. And for more, check us out anytime at KUAM.com.
Thank you, Jason. All right, coming up in sports, the grillers get grilled, and we know who started the fire. It's no mystique. We've got that story and more next.
Faster, easier to use. With live TV, recordings, video on demand, and streaming apps, all in a single place. When you're looking for something new, recommendations are tailored to you. Voice-powered, personalized results to find what you want faster. And the unlimited potential of smart home. The new experience from TiVo is here.
Good evening and welcome to Channel 2 Health Talk. I'm Dr. Tony Stearns of Marianas Medical Center. Most of us tend to focus on the health of our children and loved ones, and we often neglect our own personal health needs. There are various medical opinions on the value of preventive health checkups, but I'm a proponent of proactively maintaining good health rather than just reacting to problems as they occur. Routine checkups will often start with a series of questions about you and your family's medical history. Younger and healthier people need few routine tests, but weight, blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol levels should be measured periodically. Things like blood counts, electrolytes, kidney function, and liver function tests, and urinalysis are often checked, but generally are unnecessary in healthy people under the age of 40. I recommend special screening tests get added on at certain ages and repeated at varying intervals. These tests can include mammography, a test to look for prostate cancer, colonoscopy, and checking stool for blood and bone density tests. If you're not very active and are at moderate or high risk for heart attack, an exercise stress test may be worth considering. And if you're healthy and under age 40, going for a routine doctor's visit once every 5 years is probably okay. Over 40, every 1 or 2 years is worthwhile, and after 50, definitely annual checkups are worthwhile. There is really no substitute for periodic face-to-face meetings with your doctor, even when no specific health problems are there to address. This is how doctors and patients establish a trusting and working relationship that's critical to successful health care. Thanks for joining me. I'm Dr. Tony Stearns of Marianas Medical Center. Have a healthy week.
Buenas sports fans. Buenas sports fans, rain washes out Saturday's opening of the youth soccer leagues in Koblerville, but not in Jakarta. The U16 NMI national boys team fell to Philippines on Saturday 7-0. The PI scored 3 goals in the first half and 4 more in the second. Saipan's second game is later today against Brunei. Later on this week, it'll be the NMI versus China, should be close, which defeated that same Brunei team 7-0. And then the last game will be against host nation Indonesia. Let's go NMI. The Saipan Vegas Aces went gunning for their 3rd straight victory Saturday in the AK MIBL Basketball League, and their aim was true. And now they are the first team to reach the the magic number of 3. This game was the KSPN2 Sports Fashion Game of the Week. Jeff De Leon Guerrero and the Aces were a blur for the Aces against the Mystique Grillers. Would things clear up during the rainy night? Let's see. Ronald Bernardo. Oh, the underhand drop shot. Atlin Iverson, he works into the lane and sinks a floater. Douglas Schmidt goes straight in without much resistance. And clearly, the Aces were dominating early. And clearly, one does not need shoes to coach basketball. I cannot understand why coaches feel like they have to wear shoes anyway. Jeff, outside to Brandy Onapui for the baseline bucket, and the Aces doubled up the Grillers at that point, 25-12. Gio Dancel hosts a 3, and the bounce goes the Grillers' way. Bernardo misfires. Mia Tekapua with the inside job. Schmidt to Eric Bassa. He who hesitates sometimes makes the shot. Gerald Rivera takes what the defense gives, and the Aces, well, they don't really have a center in there. Kobe Santos looks for Brandy. He finds him, and the short connection. Bernardo again with inside position. If you do not cover him, he will clobber you. Dancel from the deep. Book it. De Leon Guerrero from the shallows. Schmidt swats that ball all the way to the cafeteria. Top play of the week is certainly appreciated by their fan base. Kobe Santos, he cannot connect this time, but the Spider does everything out there. It's his web. Bounce pass to Bernardo, and the Grillers needed more meat on their grill, so they order more, and they got it with a steal and a quick strike. But it didn't take long for Guerrero and Schmidt to hook up again and respond in a positive way. Grillers keeping it close in the first half anyway. Teamwork results in an easy deuce. They were within 5 points in the closing seconds. Oh, just like that, Schmidt scores again. Aces break open a close game with a no doubt about it blowout in the second half, winning this one 103-65.
Here's the windup and the pitch.
I don't believe what I just saw.
Let's roll at Gold's Gym Saipan with group exercise for every body. Total Resistant Exercise, or TRX, helps develop your core and improve strength. And Zumba toning is probably the funnest way to get fit. The Shake Cafe is a great place to stop by for a meal replacement or supplements. Today is the first day of the rest of your life.
Traveling or laying over on Guam? Don't wait around. Zip into Guam Adventures Zipline Park inside the Hilton Resort and Spa. Guides will take you through a series of zips, starting with a mountain course and then zip over the ocean with spectacular views of Tumon Bay. 6 zip lines in all deliver a thrilling experience, and it's family friendly, so bring the kids ages 6 and up. You'll love the security of double lines and a new braking system to make riding smoother. The towers are named after the islands in the Marianas. We call it the Island Hopper. Your guides will teach you what you need to know to soar through the jungle with a bird's eye view. Best of all, for residents of Saipan, Tinian, and Rota, you can book this experience at 20% savings. Log on to GuamAdventures.com and during checkout, use offer code HAFA20. Book it and zip it today. We'll even pick you up. Tropical depression Pepa for 17W is moving north and away from the Marianas. For the record, Capitol Hill recorded 5.62 inches of rain yesterday. For the month, 14.53. And the the average is only 11 inches for the whole month, and we're only halfway through. All right, today's high temperature only 82, the low 76. Heat index just got to 90, humidity 85%. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, scattered showers, although this is starting to break up. Southwest winds 15 to 20 miles an hour, high around 86, low 77. Sea's still rough out there, 7 to 9 feet, but falling. Sunrise 6:05, high tide at 9:22 in the morning, followed by low tide at 3:43, and then a gray sunset at 6:17. There's the rain right there. What a day yesterday.
I'll tell you, 5 inches of rain in a day, that's...
we had
over 5.
One day I remember we had 13 inches.
Wow.
Which I think this is the record since I've been here. That was right after Saddler. There was a tropical storm. But yesterday, where I live up there in Chalangalati, we were socked in. We were in a cloud the whole day. Normally I can see all the way around. I couldn't see farther than my my front yard.
What do you do in the rain,
Watch
Bob?
football. That's
Okay.
what I watch.
College football?
I watch football all day long, and I never get a chance to do that. But there was no other events.
No yard work in the rain.
I didn't want to go anywhere. I just stayed home, and I hadn't done that in a long time. I just stayed home and watched TV all day long.
And the tourists challenged that road, and there was an accident up there today.
Yeah, another car goes. I don't know what it is. These rent-a-cars. I think what it is. These four-wheel drives. That road's really bad, and they're not used to driving. I think he wasn't in four-wheel drive, and I think the car slipped down, went right off the road, right into the jungle. So then, this lunchtime, the tow truck came to pull it out, and it couldn't get up. So I don't know. I'll go back home tonight.
Tow trucking seems to be a better business in the CNMI.
Yeah,
these
you know, that's a
last couple
business,
of years.
very lucrative business, I think. Seems like, I know at the Green Gala, a bunch of people got their car towed away unexpectedly, and it cost them some big bucks to get it back, I believe.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch. All right, we're gonna. You were at the Green Gala, and
Yes,
speaking
going
of
to
the
have
Green
a
Gala,
story
we're gonna
later this week, and it was a really well-run, fun event. I didn't see you there.
I wasn't there.
So I took your ticket.
I was there last year.
I took the
I loved
tickets.
it.
I took the tickets for you, and I went, and I had a good time.
Represented. All right. That is news, sports, and weather on this Monday in the Commonwealth. The road's still slippery, even though the weather's clearing up. So when you're driving around, stay in the right lane and stay under
Go
the
slow.
speed limit.
Stay safe.
Good night.
Good night.